Hello, New York Giants fans, and welcome to a new edition of the Valentine's Views podcast here on YouTube. Please like, share, and subscribe to support the channel as we get closer and closer to training camp. Giants are obviously taking part in Hard Knocks. They're rolling out their top 100 players as part of their 100th season celebration. And here to help me sort of chat about everything going on with the Giants is the great New York Post columnist and a friend of the show, Steve Serby. Steve, how you doing? How you been?
Been great, Ed. How about you?
I've been good, except for this summer cold that won't seem to go away. But such is life.
An honor. I just want to let you know it's an honor and a privilege to be on your podcast. I've been listening to Valentine's Views since I was a kid and watching it. So it's quite an honor.
Oh, geez. The hyperbole, I need boots, Steve. I need boots for this nonsense.
I'm glad I made it in time. I just came back from a local high school field near MetLife Stadium. I timed Coach Dayball in the 40. He ran a 6.99.
6 hours, that? 6 hours, 0.99.
And not only that, but Joe Shane, by the way, did you wish Joe Shane a happy birthday? July 11th is his 45th birthday.
Oh, I should do that, shouldn't I? There you
should
go.
do that.
Yeah,
yes.
I should do that.
But Shane was there doing back pedal work.
Oh, geez. Yeah, that's right, because he's playing corner this year.
I was very surprised to see that too.
Yeah, well, he said he could play corner now that they got Brian Burns, but
he looked pretty good.
It's interesting. So what's your 40 time anyway?
It's not good. I would welcome a challenge race with Coach Dayball. I will do that.
Oh, geez. I think we all might do that just for grins.
Yeah, we should do that in training camp, as a matter of fact.
Oh, that would be kind of fun. I think the players would enjoy that.
Yeah, they would. They would. What did you think of Hard Knocks?
I'm enjoying it. I wanted to ask you. I've learned a few things. I've had a few things confirmed as to what I thought. What's your takeaway, Steve? Is this showing the Giants in a good light? Is it showing the Giants in a bad light? Will they end up regretting doing this the way things are going?
They may on October 20th when Saquon comes to MetLife. I'm sure that the Eagles coaches and teammates will be all too eager to show him a clip of Hard Knocks when Joe Shane reluctantly but willingly allowed him to flee the coop. And so that'll be interesting. And look, it's obviously Joe Shane's show. That he is in command and he's got a deep bench. I think that comes across in Hard Knocks with Brandon Brown and Mr. Chris Rossetti. It's good to see. Giant fans are heartened that John Mara did not force Joe Shane to keep Saquon. And by the way, I had proposed a 3-year, $33 million contract for Saquon. Obviously, Joe Shane does not believe in paying a running back that hefty price. But Shane has shown himself to be a GM who will make the tough decisions. Now, the question is, will he be proven to make the right decisions? That remains to be seen.
And that's the hard part about it. I was going to ask you, we talk about Hard Knocks. The Giants are Joe Shane's show, and I've been saying that for a while, and I think it's clear. If John Mara was making the decision, Saquon would still be here. If John Mara was making the decision, Brian Flores probably would have been the head coach 2 years ago. I think
Odell Beckham might still be here.
That's true too. But I think it's the right way to do things. The question just becomes, will Joe make enough of the right decisions, and will the Giants win enough games to for him and Brian Daboll to stick around?
Well, my thing about Saquon, and I from the day he was drafted, I considered him more than a running back. I considered him a weapon. Now, unfortunately for Saquon, there was the injury bug that kept biting him. And unfortunately for Saquon and for Daniel Jones, we keep coming back to the offensive line and the failure of the Gettleman regime and now the Shane regime for now, until proven otherwise, to fix the offensive line. Saquon had no chance to impact winning. He won one playoff game as a Giant behind that offensive line. And Daniel Jones has had much less of a chance to be the franchise quarterback behind an offensive line where he's been sacked 179 times in his career. Now, he's not blameless. Of course he isn't. This is his last chance as a Giants franchise quarterback. But will John Runyon and Jermaine Eluminor and Evan Neal, who's the key to the offensive line, and John Schmitz, who has to be better at center, will they help Andrew Thomas field a competent offensive line that at least gives the Giants a chance to be mediocre?
Yeah, I think that's all you're asking for out of this offensive line is competence. I do think one thing that was interesting, people keep asking me about Joe Shane's comment about Daniel Jones, that this is the year for Daniel comment. And let me see if you take it the same way that I take it. I don't take that as Joe doubling down on Daniel and saying, he's my guy. I believe in Daniel. He's going to be the guy forever. He's saying that this is the last year of guaranteed money in his contract. This is the year when a decision will get made as to whether he stays or whether we have a new quarterback in 2025. That's the way that I take it. You take it that way as well?
Yeah, it's put up or shut up for Daniel. He's got to stay healthy, first of all. That's why Drew Lock is on the roster, and that's why they explored trading up for a quarterback, Drake May specifically. But A, he's got to stay healthy. B, he's got to get the ball quickly and decisively to Malik Nabers, who is the first go-to guy, the first number one receiver that Jones has had in his Giants career. And by the way, I like the Giants receiving core. What Joe Shane is saying is, look, Saquon's gone now. You can't use him as a crutch anymore. Go win games for us. Let's see you win games for us. And if he doesn't, he's gone. That's it. No guaranteed money. The Giants will have a new franchise quarterback next season. So the excuses are over. Daniel Jones, whether he makes $40 million or $20 million, he has to show up and show out. And he's fired up. He said he was fired up by all the draft speculation. So I'd like to see a Daniel Jones with a chip on his shoulder to go out and take command of this team and be the Daniel Jones that we have not seen except in flashes.
I did feel in the couple of times we got to talk to him this spring, I did feel there was a little bit of an edge to him that maybe I haven't heard before. Did you find it interesting in the Hard Knocks episode the other night that Joe Shane admitted having talked to Daniel Jones about Malik Nabers and that Jones had looked at Nabers a little bit even before the Giants drafted him?
Well, yeah. I mean, what better way to get on your quarterback's good side and give him a pat on the back than showing him what kind of weapon he will have? And it's not only Malik Nabers, by the way. I think Wan'Dale Robinson is going to have a breakout year. He hasn't been healthy either. And Jalen Hyatt will be stronger, better in year 2 of his NFL career. And of course, you've got Darius Slayton. So the cupboard is not bare. This is the best Giants receiving core Daniel Jones has had. And, Wan'Dale was a number 2 pick. Hyatt a number 3 pick. Nabers the 6th pick of the draft. I think Nabers is a better prospect coming out than Odell Beckham was. So again, no excuses. Get the job done. Be the leader. Stay healthy and win games. And then maybe Daniel Jones will have a chance to come back. Maybe. And don't forget, it's also year 3 in the Daboll system. And he will have the benefit of Brian Daboll calling plays for him. So that's it. It's all on the table. The slate is clean. Go out, win some games, and be the franchise quarterback that Dave Gettleman and John Mara thought he was, and perhaps John Mara thinks he still can be.
Is Brian Daboll ever going to admit that he's going to call plays, or are we just going to learn that officially when he walks out week 1 with the play card in his hands? I suspect he'll put that off forever.
Yeah, he will. He won't. Why tell us? Mm-hmm. Competitive disadvantage, right?
Right.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll be calling plays.
Yeah, you and me, and I think that's the right choice for him at this point in his tenure where the Giants are. You agree?
Yeah. Now he won't be as good a play caller with Daniel Jones as he was with Josh Allen. Let's get that straight.
This is true. This is very true, and or Brett Favre for that matter. He called plays for Favre for a while too. So, yeah. So there's that. I'm curious. We talk about year 3 for Daboll, year 3 for Joe Schoen. Do you feel like those guys are on the proverbial hot seat?
No, I don't.
I agree with that. I'm glad to hear you say that. I'd love to hear you explain a little bit more about why you feel that way.
I thought it was ridiculous when some people thought he might be on the hot seat last year. There was no way that John Mara was going to fire another head coach after 2 years again for the 3rd straight time. I think, look, Mike Tomlin just signed a new contract with the Steelers, and that's the model that John Mara craves: continuity and stability. And unless Brian Daboll gets into a brawl with his new defensive coordinator, Shane Bowen, I think that all things being equal, John Mara, I think he likes the way that Joe Schoen and Daboll function together and are building this thing together. And look, nobody has any patience in the New York market, but they have to build it the right way. And he has to trust Joe Schoen and Daboll. To me, they're an item. They will stay together, and they may or may not go together. But I think that John Mara will lean on Joe Schoen, and we see it in Hard Knocks. He may have to stomach Saquon Barkley running all over his defense on October 20th, but John Mara has to stop. He knows he has to stop kicking garbage cans in the press box, being the competitor that he is.
So does he really have to do that? I mean, we need stuff to write about, Steve.
Yeah, you're right. All right, let's John, I know you're watching because, by the way, Joe Schoen says he never watches, isn't aware of WFAN or isn't aware of sports talk radio, but I guarantee you he's aware of Valentine's views. I guarantee you he'll be watching this. So that's why I wanted you to wish him a happy birthday. But
happy birthday, Joe. I'll text you later.
All right, kick as many garbage cans as you want, John, but keep this team together, barring a calamity, a catastrophe. These guys will be should be building it the right way. If they show signs that they are, then they will be back together next year. Mike McCarthy's on the hot seat because he's Jerry Jones's coach. Mike Sirianni's on the hot seat in Philadelphia. Both of them could be replaced by Mr. Belichick himself. But I I think Mara believes that Shane and Dable are keepers.
You don't think there's any way Belichick would come back to the Giants to coach, do you?
No, I don't think so, because then you'd have to get rid of Joe Shane.
Mm-hmm.
How's that going to work?
That's not going to work well. No.
No.
I think we've seen if Bill was willing to just coach, that would be one thing. But I don't think that's. I think that horse has left the barn.
No, maybe there may be an opening on the New York Jets if Aaron Rodgers does not fulfill his manifest destiny of winning a Super Bowl.
Bill Belichick to the Jets, wouldn't that be interesting?
Yeah, well, I don't know if he and Woody Johnson would be a palatable team. He left the Jets when Woody Johnson took over, as you remember. But if he's, desperation makes strange bedfellows, or whatever that expression is. So who the hell knows? But if the Jets don't win, if the Jets playoff drought grows to 14 seasons, Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh are gone.
That's just a reminder to Giants fans that who have 4 Super Bowl titles to brag about. That's just a reminder to Giants fans that you might be frustrated, but things can be a lot worse.
Yes, things could be a lot worse. Like no Super Bowl since January 12th, 1969. That's a lot worse.
That's a lot worse. Yes, it scares me that you remember the exact date. I was 9 years old at the time. I was 9 years old.
I was going to ask you, how many of the top 100 Giants did you cover?
I started covering this team in 2008. So pretty much anybody that's on the Coughlin era Super Bowl teams, I would have covered most of those guys.
So Eric Flowers, Eli Apple, who else?
Patrick Omame. Evan Neal. Where's Neal going to be on the top 100?
Well, obviously this is a make or break year for him. He's been injured. In his defense, he's been injured.
Yes,
but hopefully he'll mature and block out the boo birds at MetLife Stadium and play the way, there was a time during that draft, right before that draft, he was speculated as possibly being the first overall pick in that draft.
There were a lot of people who believed in him, and this is what I tell people all the time who want to kill Joe Shane for making that pick of Evan Neal, is probably more than 95% of evaluators felt he was a top 10 pick and felt like he was a home run and felt like that was a great pick. And sometimes you do the right thing and it just doesn't work. For whatever reason, it just doesn't happen.
Now, some people, though, did consider his best position at guard because of his lateral quickness is not all that. It remains to be seen if he doesn't hold up at right tackle, move him inside to guard. It worked for Eric Flowers brief for a little while. So not with the Giants, but look, he was the 7th overall pick, right?
Right.
They're gonna do everything they can with their new offensive line coach. Maybe he can get through Carmen Brasillo. Maybe he can get through to Neal. Maybe Neal can be better without all these nagging injuries. Who was it? Gettleman that said you don't give up on talent before he traded OBJ?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, here's another example of you don't give up on talent, but this is year 3 and it's put up or shut up for him as well.
Yeah, you have to, I remember we talked a little bit about Eric Flowers, and Jerry Reese drew a lot of criticism, for the pick, yes, but for his stubbornness also in insisting for 4 years that Eric Flowers could play left tackle for 3 or 4 years. And I get the fact that the Giants want to give Evan Neal another opportunity, but I don't want to see the Giants end up in in Eric Flowers territory where they're putting him out at right tackle only because Joe says that's what I drafted him to do.
No, I don't believe Joe Shane will do that, because assuming he gets to year four, if he doesn't win this year, and very few people I know think the Giants will be winning this year, and I'd like your observations or opinions on that, Ed. But year four will be critical for Joe Shane. If Evan Neal does not blossom this year, he'll move on. I'm confident of that, because you saw on Hard Knocks, he's not afraid to make the tough decisions.
Absolutely. And you know, I don't see this Giants team as a double-digit win team. I don't. I think, I mean, 7 wins, 8 wins, 9 wins, maybe somewhere in there. You know, I'd like to see them. I don't know what you define as progress. They won 6 games a year ago, but they got blown out of so many games. I mean, do you define progress as winning 6 games and losing the other 11 in more palatable fashion? I don't know, but I don't know how you define that.
Yeah, what works in the Giants' favor is the NFC, because after the 49ers, the Lions, the Eagles, and maybe the Cowboys, who scares you out there, Ed? Who scares you? Nobody.
Not Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold? No, he doesn't scare me. Nope. Or J.J. McCarthy. But look, the NFC is a study in mediocrity. The Tampa Bay Bucks won their division last year, won a playoff game with a 9-8 record. So 3/4 of the league should be playing meaningful games in December. There's no excuse for the Giants not to, although some of my colleagues think they won't win more than 4 games. I think they will, but I'm not going to put a number on it yet. I got to watch more tape. But at least they've got a pass rush now that will help the secondary if Shane has to play corner opposite Tay Banks. They've got that pass rush, which should be able to keep the Giants in games. Now, the Giants have to score more than 15 points or 15.6 points a game. Last year, the middle of the pack team scored 22 points a game. So can they score an additional 5 or 6 points a game? Can the defense put Daniel Jones and or Drew Lock in good field position so Graham Gano can kick a field goal and maybe win a game in the final minute or a couple of games? The schedule is not that daunting. Of course, you never know about schedules, but the NFC doesn't scare you. The NFC and McCarthy's on the hot seat. Sirianni's going to be on the hot seat. The 4 of the teams in the NFC have new head coaches. So why can't the Giants rise to mediocrity? Is that asking too much?
I don't think so. I would hope not. I think that what you don't want to see, as you said, you don't want to see a 4-win season because you don't want to feel like this team's going backwards. I read all of these roster rankings from national analysts who want to say the Giants have one of the worst 2 or 3 rosters in the NFL, and I can't buy that. What I can buy is you look at certain positions and there are young players who maybe have upside, have talent, have possibilities, but haven't proven it yet. I don't think the cupboard is bare. I think there's a lot of areas where guys just haven't proven it yet.
Yeah, when Shane and Dable took over and they were looking for tough, smart, dependable, I thought that Giants team would be lucky to win 6 games. Of course, they make the playoffs and win a playoff game. Then last year, I thought they'd be a playoff team. And that time they won 6 games. So maybe I'm the wrong guy to ask, Ed. I don't know. But look, Daniel Jones, we come back to him. If he's going to be a lower tier quarterback, then the Giants will have no chance to make the playoffs. If he can get the Giants in the end zone, If he can get the ball to Malik Nabers as early and as often as possible, the Giants should be playing meaningful games in December. Maybe who knows how many meaningful games. But I wanted to ask you, what did you think of the pick of Nabers over Odunze?
I want to watch more of Hard Knocks, to be honest with you. And I was a big Odunze fan leading up to the draft. I can certainly understand the pick from the explosiveness, the talent, from that perspective. But I think there's a bigger risk that things might eventually blow up with Malik Nabers than there is with a Odunze. But
Why?
I can understand
because he went to a strip joint. So you've
done that. I've done that. I've done that.
How do you know I've done that?
I know a lot about you, Steve.
Well, from word of mouth, I hear it's a fun time. Word of mouth.
Yes, of course,
yeah.
Of course. But it's.
I saw Jerry Jones in a strip joint at 2 a.m. in Dallas one year. So
it is what it is. But it's not about that. I mean, as the Giants, as Chris Rossetti indicated in Hard Knocks, he said there's a lot of personality there, and I'm interested to see as it develops in how the Giants became comfortable with that personality. Now, Joe Shane is obviously okay with personality because he was okay with Kayvon Thibodeau, and Brian Daboll has shown that he's okay with personality. So, So we'll see how it works out. I thought Odunze was the safer pick. Nabers is probably the big swing, pick with the higher ceiling. So we'll see how that works out.
Yes.
The safe play would have been Odunze, and I think people would have understood it. The home run pick is Nabers. And you cross your fingers that the Giants do have the people in place and the quarterback in place to handle it.
Yeah. Now Nabers will turn 21 at the end of the month, and it seems to me, and I don't know the kid yet, but he doesn't seem to be as mature as Odunze was or is. I did a Q&A with Odunze prior to the draft, and he reminded me so much of Saquon coming out, just a class act, no baggage, no red flags at all, team guy, a guy that you could feel confident will not rock the boat if things go awry. We'll see. I'm wondering if that's the reason that Daboll was asking Nabers about. If you don't get the ball, how do you handle it? You better harness it. If you don't, et cetera, et cetera. Now, they've been raving about him. Mike Rowe raved about him a couple of months ago. But let's see what happens if the Giants start losing and he's not getting the ball, or even if he is getting the ball and they start losing.
Yeah, we will see. And like I said, I think there's more risk in Nabers, but again,
there's more reward.
There's
too.
more reward there as well, and we'll see how it all plays out. Steve, do you think at all that
I don't think at all, Ed. I don't think at all. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, well. All right, then I guess we're done. No, I was going to say, do you think the 100th season celebration, from an ownership side, does that play into expectations for the season, pressure on the coaching staff, pressure on the players? Obviously the Giants are doing a lot of things, to celebrate the 100th season. They're doing Hard Knocks and putting themselves out there. Do you think there's any, pressure sort of ratcheted up, because of that?
No, there shouldn't be. To me, they should be inspired to play and represent a flagship franchise celebrating its 100th anniversary. They should be inspired. I know I would if I was wearing that uniform, and seeing all the greats and the history and the tradition. And the Giants are doing a tremendous job with this layout and this presentation. And there's always pressure, Ed. Every year there's pressure, especially when you haven't won a Super Bowl since 2011. And especially when the expectations are already high. So 100 years, no. Let's see if they're inspired by that.
So are you a fan of the 100-year throwback uniforms or not?
Well, yeah, I don't mind them at all. Why? You have a problem with them?
No, I like them. I mean, it's just there's been a lot of mixed reaction to those when the Giants rolled them out, but I like them.
I like them. I like them too. And just wondering who are your top 3 all-time Giants?
Oh, good Lord. Gotta be LT.
Well, LT's number 1.
Easy. Gotta be LT. Gotta be Eli for me, just because of the era. And I don't know. The third one is so hard. It might be just out of it might be Bavaro for me. I don't know. That one's tough. How about you?
Well, you're forgetting guys that you grew up watching many years ago. Emlyn Tunnell and Rosie Brown. They should be in the top 5. And Eli's going to be very, very high up there for sure.
There's so many.
Strahan's another one. Harry Carson's another one.
Carson's, right? Yep, Carson's up there. George Martin may not have been the most talented, but George Martin, one of your favorite people of all time as a Giant, I would think.
One of Bill Parcells' lieutenants, Harry Carson and George Martin, ruled the locker room. They were Parcells' right hand. They were his leadership council. And by the way, speaking of which, who are your leaders on this Giants team going to be, Ed? You lost Saquon, right? You lost McKinney, 2 of your bigger leaders, right? So who replaces them?
That's a good question, because Daniel Jones he's not that guy anyway. And in his situation, I'm not sure he can be that guy. So I mean, I look at Dexter. I don't know about you, but I look at Dexter, who I think is willing to take on that role. I look at Andrew Thomas as a guy who probably needs to step into that sort of enforcer leader role on offense. And for me, those are the 2 guys. I don't know about you. I know Bobby Okereke mentioned Graham Gano when he was asked this question the other day.
Well, Okereke is easily one of the new leaders. He'll be one of the captains without a doubt. And another guy who will be, I believe, is Kayvon. I think Kayvon and Okereke will assume a mantle of leadership along with Dexter Henry on that defense. Now, offense, again, it's got to be Daniel Jones. It has to be. He has to be more of a leader now than he ever was.
He at least has to be willing. I would love to see Daniel be a little more demonstrative. I would love to see him demand more of his teammates. I want to see him when inevitably he overthrows or underthrows or doesn't throw to Malik Nabers, and Malik Nabers, has a sideline hissy fit. I want to see Daniel Jones go handle it. I don't want to see him just, walk away and sit on the bench. I would love to see him go handle it. So, yeah, he should be a leader. But I just don't know if that sort of vocal leader's in the guy.
Well, his teammates do, behind the scenes, respect him as a leader. Now, Eli was not the most rah-rah guy either, right? I think what you and I and probably Giant fans would like to see Daniel, as he fights for his Giants career, be more like Phil Simms, see more of that Simsian fire if he has it in him.
Mm-hmm.
And look, like I said, there should be a chip on his shoulder. This is his Giants career at stake. Saquon wanted to be a Giant for life. Didn't happen. If Daniel Jones wants to be a Giant for life, we'll see a new and improved and different Daniel Jones.
Absolutely. Hey, Steve, appreciate the time. Thank you very, very much. What do you got going on between now and training camp? Anything coming up that folks should know about?
I'm just going to watch this podcast over and over and over again.
Sounds like a really, really good plan, Steve. I like that. I like that.
Got back from Mohegan Sun, didn't bet, but my wife lost for both of us. And I'm having, that's about it, going to Arthur Avenue. Why don't you meet me in Arthur Avenue next week? You need some Italian food in your system, right?
There you go. You got, after your wife lost for both of you, you got money for more than bologna sandwiches these days?
Well, that's why I'm inviting you. Hopefully you'll buy.
Oh, there you go. All right. Steve, thank you very, very much. Giants fans, thank you as always for listening. Please stay safe out there. Take care of each other, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.